The one who walks in my hallway. A few months ago, I had to move out of my old apartment in a hurry. There was a leak that never got fixed, and my landlord refused to do anything about it. So I took the first cheap place I found online. The listing said, small, affordable, great location, available immediately. The weird part was how fast the owner accepted me. No credit check, no references, nothing. He just said, if you like it, it's yours. You can move in today. I should have known something was off. The first weeks, small things. The first few nights were normal. Quiet. Too quiet for such a busy area. After the first week, small things started happening. I'd leave my keys on the table, and they'd be on the couch in the morning. The bathroom door, which I always closed, would be slightly open. The water heater turned on by itself at 3 a.m. Nothing big. Nothing that screams paranormal. Just little things I could blame on stress or forgetfulness. Then one night, while dozing off, watching videos on my phone, I heard footsteps in my hallway. Slow, dragging, like someone walking barefoot. The sound came from inside my apartment. I got up, scared but trying to be logical. I grabbed my phone as a flashlight and walked to the hallway. The moment I stepped in, the footsteps stopped. The air felt so cold my skin prickled. I checked every corner, kitchen, bathroom, closet. Nothing. But even though I didn't see anyone, I felt like someone was hiding in a dark spot just out of sight. Things start getting worse. After that night, I couldn't pretend nothing was happening. I constantly felt eyes on me. One early morning, the sound of clinking silverware woke me up. I walked to the kitchen and found the coffee maker turned on. I never prepare it at night. Another time, I was working on my laptop when I heard a whisper. Not a word, more like someone exhaling right next to my ear. It felt so close I froze in place. That was the first night I slept with the lights on. But that wasn't the worst. The vent in the hallway. One day, while sweeping, I noticed the ventilation grate in the hallway was slightly loose. I always assumed it was sealed, but it looked a bit open. I got down and removed it. Behind it was a small empty space between the walls. Dark, dusty, and much bigger than it should have been. Like someone had carved it out intentionally. Inside was something. A folded piece of paper, yellowed and dirty. My hands shook as I opened it. It had one line written in shaky handwriting. Don't look him in the eyes. He hates that. My stomach dropped. There was no logical explanation for that. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room with every light on, listening for any sound. The talk with the owner. I called the owner and asked him to come over. When I showed him the note, he didn't seem surprised. That scared me more than anything else. Look, he said, as long as you keep paying rent, you don't have to worry. What do you mean I don't have to worry? I almost yelled. Who left this? Who's been inside my apartment? He sighed, as if exhausted. He doesn't hurt anyone. He's never harmed a tenant. Just try not to talk to him. He gets upset when people ignore him. I stared at him, speechless. Who is he? I finally asked. The owner just looked at me and said, if you've heard his footsteps, then you've already met him. And he left, like it was normal. The longest night yesterday, while trying to sleep, if you can call it sleep, I heard footsteps in the hallway again. This time they weren't slow. They were steady, clear, moving straight toward my bedroom door. I hid under the blanket, frozen, listening as they stopped right outside my door. They stayed there, without moving, for what felt like hours. Then the door handle turned, once, then again, and I heard breathing, deep, heavy breathing, like someone huge was trying not to lose their temper. Eventually, the footsteps moved away. This morning, I found my closet door open, and on the floor in front of it was a new handwritten note. Why don't you want to see me? I don't think I'm alone here. Actually, I don't think I ever was. And tonight, the footsteps came back. Only now, they don't stop. The One Who Walks in My Hallway. Part 2. I didn't go to work the next day. I couldn't. I spent the entire morning staring at the note in front of my closet. Why don't you want to see me? It felt like a threat disguised as a question. I tried convincing myself to pack my things, call a moving truck, leave everything behind. But every time I approached the hallway to grab my suitcase, I felt watched. Not the normal kind of watched, more like something was waiting for me to come closer. By afternoon, I realized the apartment was completely silent. No footsteps, no whispers, no breathing. But the silence wasn't comforting. It felt like the kind of quiet right before a storm breaks. The recording. I set up my phone outside my bedroom door with the camera facing the hallway. I needed proof. Something to show the police, or at least to convince myself I wasn't losing my mind. I hit record and left it there for a few hours. When I finally gathered the courage to check the footage, the first 30 minutes were normal. Still, empty. Then, around the 40-minute mark, the hallway lights flickered. Once, twice, and then something stepped into frame. Not fully, just a foot. A bare, dirty, ash-grey foot stepping slowly into view. The camera shook slightly. My phone must have been vibrating as some notification came in. But when the image stabilized, the foot was gone. I replayed it 5 times. Each time, I felt my throat close tighter and tighter. The owner never mentioned anything about what he looked like. Nightfall. I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want night to come at all. But the sun went down anyway. As soon as the apartment got dark, the footsteps started. Not in the hallway this time. Inside my room. Slow. Dragging. As if someone were walking in circles around my bed. I kept my eyes shut, body shaking under the blanket. I didn't dare open them. Several minutes passed. The footsteps stopped. Then I heard breathing. Deep. Rough. Right next to my ear. It sounded angry. I felt the mattress sink slightly, like someone sat down beside me. And then a whisper, almost gentle, but filled with resentment. Look at me. My heart almost burst out of my chest. I stayed perfectly still. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. After what felt like an eternity, the weight lifted from the bed. The footsteps moved away. The breathing stopped. Eventually, I managed to fall asleep. Or maybe I fainted. I'm not sure. The door. When I woke up, it was still dark. At first I thought it was still night. But then I saw the glowing numbers on my alarm clock. 3:00 p.m. I had slept, or been unconscious, for nearly 18 hours. I walked to the front door immediately, ready to escape. But the door wouldn't open. I twisted the lock. It spun freely. The knob moved. But the door wouldn't budge, as if someone on the other side were holding it shut. I started shouting, "Let me out! Let me out!" Silence. Then, from behind the door, the faintest whisper, "Not yet." I stumbled backward, shaking so hard I almost fell. The message. I turned around, breath trembling, and saw something new on the floor. A fresh note. Same shaky handwriting as the others. This one only had 2 words. Turn around. My blood ran cold. I didn't want to. I knew something was behind me. I could feel warm, slow breathing against the back of my neck. I closed my eyes. The whisper came again, closer than ever. Look at me. And that's where I am now, standing completely still. Eyes closed, because whatever is behind me hasn't moved in minutes. And I think he's waiting for me to obey. Part 3. The One Who Walks in My Hallway. I honestly never thought I'd be back here writing this, but after what happened last night, I need to put it somewhere. I need someone, anyone, to tell me I'm not losing my mind. Most of you already know the story. The house I grew up in, the whispering at night, the shadow that mimicked me, the basement that felt bigger than it should have been, and of course, the thing that followed me even after I moved to another state. I really thought leaving it all behind, putting hundreds of miles between me and that place, would fix everything. Turns out it doesn't work like that. I wish I could say the first few days in the new apartment were peaceful, and they were, but only on the surface. 1. Small signs, subtle but wrong. At first it was stuff you can rationalize if you're desperate to feel safe. The bathroom door open when I know I closed it. My keys on the table instead of the hook by the door. Footsteps, not inside the house but inside the wall. Like someone was moving in the thin space between drywall and surface. Even though that's physically impossible, I ignored it. Anyone would. Denial is comfortable, until it isn't. But safety is like a bubble. Once something pierces it, it stops existing completely. 2. My sister's call. Everything escalated when my older sister video called me. She moved out of our childhood house before I did. We both thought the presence was tied to the property itself, that once we left, it would stay trapped there. We were wrong. We were talking about normal stuff when her expression changed. Her eyes shifted, focused on something behind me. "Who's with you?" she asked. My whole body went cold. I was alone. "No one," I said. She frowned, leaning closer to the camera. "No, someone's there, right behind you, tall, kind of hunched." I spun around so fast I nearly dropped the phone. Nothing was there, but the air felt thick, heavier than before, like something had just moved away. "It's starting," she whispered. And the call cut off. Not lag, not a dropped connection. Cut, like something didn't want the conversation to continue. 3. The first active night. That was the night I heard it clearly for the first time since moving. The same slow footsteps that haunted me throughout childhood. Measured, deliberate, not approaching, performing. It walked down the hallway to my bedroom. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. Then the footsteps stopped, right outside my door. The doorknob turned, very slowly, as if a hand, something not entirely human, was testing it, not trying to barge in, just reminding me. It knew I was awake. It knew where I lived now, and it wanted me to know it hadn't gone anywhere. The door never opened, but the message was louder than a scream. 4. The basement dream. That wasn't a dream. The next night, I had a dream about the basement of our old house, but it wasn't a normal dream. Normal dreams feel foggy, disjointed, out of order. This felt real. The dampness, the smell of wet dirt, the single exposed bulb swaying slightly, the narrow hallway that shouldn't have existed, but always appeared when you were alone down there. And then I heard my name, not whispered, not yelled, just spoken, right next to my ear. "Come down with me. We're not finished." I woke up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, hands clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. Something made me check the soles of my feet. They were dirty, not dusty, muddy, as if I'd walked barefoot over damp soil. 5. Trying to leave. Yesterday, I'd had enough. I wasn't going to let this thing take over my life again. I packed. I don't own much, so it only took a few minutes. Backpack, documents, wallet, keys. I went to the door, grabbed the handle and yanked it open, and froze. The hallway outside my apartment wasn't my hallway. It was the basement corridor from my childhood home. Dark, rotting wood, dripping sounds, cold air pressing against my skin. I could smell the earth. I could feel the humidity soaking into my clothes. I could hear faint breathing somewhere in the dark. At the far end of the corridor, something shifted. Not fully visible, just a silhouette. But I recognized it instantly. The crooked posture, the tilted head, the absence of eyes, yet somehow still staring. It took a step toward me. I slammed the door so hard the frame shook, locked it, then sat on the floor, shaking, listening for any movement outside. Eventually, minutes or hours later, I don't know, I opened the door again. The hallway was back to normal, but my backpack, my documents, my wallet, all the things I'd packed to leave, they weren't on the floor where I left them. They were neatly placed on my bed. And on top of them, a piece of mud. Still wet. Still dripping. Like something had put it there on purpose. Like it wanted me to understand. I can leave the house. But the house will never leave me.